what was the ranch, the Mance, whatever that thing was, the ruling. Okay, we'll talk about that. It'll come.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to
the Bundy Ranch. Remember the Bundy Ranch?
Welcome to another Tuesday Night Chat. We're organized as all get out as usual, but we're here.
I put some of my Doritos, I think. Just kidding.
I'm gonna go down the line and we'll do like we normally do. I'm going to end it with Rosie, but I'm going to start with Blue. Would you like to do an intro, Blue?
No, I'm super excited at the announcement that Oprah Winfrey might run for president in 2020, or is that 2020? Yeah, because everybody's getting a car. Everybody, check under your seats. You're getting a car. But, thanks for the invite. Good to see everybody in the external, and it's pretty much all I got for the intro. So good to see everybody again. It's been a couple weeks stint for me, 2 weeks I think, since I was on last Tuesday. So good to see y'all.
Yep. Thanks for being on here, Blue. Daniel, would you like to do an intro, man?
Well, thanks for having me on, TR. And I also would like to announce that I have thrown my hat in the ring for Oprah's party, that I am going to be the person in charge of the gun buyback program. For CZs, I'm going to give you $5 each. And for every Glocks, you can keep them for doorstops. And anything in between is about $1.50. And yes, I do keep every gun.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal for you. Rick, is your six covered? Do an intro, dude.
Okay, well, first I'm going to unsubscribe those two dumbasses. And then we're staying on the Trump train here at the TRprepper channel, hopefully. But I want to welcome everybody to another Tuesday Night Chat. So with that said, let's get rocking and rolling. We got lots to talk about. We don't really know what it will be yet, but we're going to have lots to talk about. Cheers.
Amen. Yeah, that's it. We shoot from the hip on this chat. Rosie, would you like to do an intro and then go ahead if you got anything on your mind? You just start us off.
Yeah, just hi, everybody. I want to wish everybody Happy New Year. I guess TR's probably been, maybe 2 weeks or so before Christmas since I was on a last chat. So good to see everybody. Good to see TR survive the holidays. I loved your Robert De Niro, man. I showed that to everybody. I did the comparison, and they just absolutely love that, man. You're lucky. You got it going on, TR. So anyway, Peter, he'll put his shades on later for y'all tonight. But good to see Daniel and Blue and Rick back from the services, and strong and healthy looking. So Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, there's not really a lot of Rosie O'Kelly channel. There's not really a lot going on right now. We just continue to have this grinding. I think we may be reaching what they call a melt up point, and that's the point where people perceive, like in the stock market, we've talked about this bubble building for a long time, and there is a lot of momentum still in there. And as we continue to push higher, people become more and more confident, and it sort of becomes a vortex that starts to swirl, and it starts to suck in layers of people. The initial layers of people that are in are professionals, and then you got the semi-pros, the home traders, and then at the very top you got the mutual fund investors and the professionals out there wielding large sums of money. Then you start to get into the money managers, the smaller, the large money managers, the medium, the small money managers, and then you start to get into the at-home traders, and finally you get into the public at large. And it's kind of interesting to think about this swirl that's occurring now, because I could quiz everybody on the side chat, and I don't think that anybody has an idea of where the market is. It's not like they come on it every day and announce we've got a new record high. It's become routine what's going on these days. And therein, I think the risk continues to build when we do something like that. A melt up is like the equivalent of a meltdown. It's like the opposite of 2000 and 2008 when we had the collapse, when the big banks were gone down. We had like a really steep waterfall down, but it hit a terminal point and then it never reached that. That was it. We bounced up and we've been running up for, well, we're in our 10th year. March will be the 10th year of this market. And in some ways, the risk really grows because the longer it goes, of course, the less value is really implied within the markets. And as I've said before, if you're investing, you want to buy low and sell high. You want to buy something that's cheap and then sell it dear. Well, we're at the point now where you're selling dear and you're hoping to sell dearer to somebody else down the road. So yeah, I don't know when it'll go. There's a lot of baked in the cake. And TR, I have to congratulate our president for pushing the tax package through. That was a tough push, considering how much headway he had about that time before Christmas and Thanksgiving. He had a lot of headway. You know, the news broke out about the Russian deal again, and the prosecutors, and so it's really kind of it's impressive to me. And he may have just survived and be over the hump now, where things start to be a little. He gets the wind at his back instead of the wind at his head on. So I'm thinking this might be a pretty calm year. But in some ways, it reminds me a lot of like coming into 1929. Not that I was around in 1928, 29, but in my studies of market history, was 1929 was the year that invincibility took hold in people's minds. Like there was free money being made out there. People started to rush to the market. And of course, we know how disastrous that ended, because as we start to push up on liquidity here and we start to put more and more values higher, the risk is that we separate from the economy below what's going on in the economy. And what happened in 1929 was the economy was already turning down in the summer of 1929. If you look at car loadings of railroads, railroad car loadings, and bank transactions, everything was slowing down through the spring and summer of 1929, but yet the market kept going higher. And of course, the economy eventually trumps all, and it collapsed down to the level and then below the level of what the economy was doing. And, you know, we're at the point now where we're building up that sort of bayonet, that sort of upthrust, that parabolic rise here, where things could push up very rapidly and ultimately very dangerously and put in some type of hyper top that could last for a very long time. Now, yeah, some people said that 29 was driven by speculation, but the speculation was legal. We have the same thing now. We have derivative markets. We have options, and you don't necessarily have to have 50% down to buy a stock. Yeah, 1929, you needed to have 10% down. Then now we have 50%. It's called margin. But there's a lot of people that leverage up with options. They're holding a lot of options and writing a lot of options on things. There's a lot of leverage in the market right now, and I think that's what you have to be aware of, because that can unwind very rapidly here. And we kind of know what happens when you have one of these. When you go up like that, you end up coming down the other way there. So and that's why I think gold and silver continue to kind of wait in the wings and just tread water while all this is waiting to happen. And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, to see those prices of gold and silver hold so remarkably stable. The other thing that's fascinating to me is 10 years into a recovery, we still have very low interest rates and a very flat yield curve. And then, in other words, there's not much difference between lending the government for 5 years or lending it for 30 years. And that's a very unusual kind of situation here that could augur, you know, why isn't there the demand for capital? Why do interest rates remain so low? Is it because we live in an economy that the biggest company, we don't produce anything anymore? Our biggest companies are Facebook, they're Google, there are a lot of Apple tech apps and things like that. Maybe we're just in a technological age where we don't need much capital to build things anymore. Maybe we just, it's all brain power at this point, and we just manipulate data around and store and move data. And I contrast the composition of what makes up the Dow Industrial Average today compared to 1929. In 1929, we were producing real things: steel, General Electric, American Telephone and Telegraph. There was the oil companies and a lot of the other manufacturing, Bethlehem Steel, United States. Well, today we've reduced that down. If you look at the Dow, it's like retailers, Home Depot. They keep rejigging the Dow. We don't really make that much anymore in here. When you look at our big average now, what it's composed of, it's a lot of technology, and it's not really producing anything. So we have to be aware of that, because the push for technological improvement, you use less and less people, less and less. So it's interesting to me to think we may be in an era where we don't need as much capital in the economy. We're not building factories and things like that. So that's maybe one reason why interest rates remain low, because the need for borrowing is so low right now. With a good stock market, it's easy to float new issues in that. So,
Rosie, can I interject?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been listening. I know, from the prepper, shit's about to hit the fan kind of point of view, whatever. The stock market, the drive that it's had, really going forward, really going with what you're saying. Are you thinking that maybe it can float out for a really long time the way it is right now?
The most I see is like when you reach this point in a rise of a graph, you're like right up here. You're coming off of basically flat from 1929 onward, and in 1982 we were only 777 on the Dow. And I remember the day the great bull market kicked off, August 8th, 1982. I mean, we passed 1,000 in like 1983 or something. Now we're 25,000 up here. So we've started to steepen our rise. So I'm afraid, TR, that time-wise, we're really shrinking down the window of where the rise will happen in now. In other words, it could potentially accelerate upward, but it's going to be in a very narrow frame, and right on the other side is the down on the other side. So we're compressing our window because the psychology is getting so strong that everybody's jumping on the crazy train now and just buying like crazy for fear of being left out. Now, if it gets too crazy, then the public starts to get swirled in, and people start to line up at brokerage offices and things to open up trading accounts and things. But all that will play out in a remarkably short period of time, I think, measured within a 1-year period here. That's how close I think we are to some terminus point in here. Okay, there's Comms watching from the video. How cool is that?
Hey,
Yeah.
Rosie, how do you think this? I heard something about France put out a thing on wanting to use the Chinese dollar for buying oil now.
Yep.
And they're pushing it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about the rise of the yuan. It's too big of an economy to not have its currency mean something in the world today. And our dollar's been on a weakening trend the last year or so, and this yuan has been very, very stable. So I think, doesn't it make sense for China to say, why do you make us convert? Now, their bank has to make things more convertible to the rest of the world. You know what I mean, Daniel? You have to be able to negotiate when that instrument comes in from Chinese yuan, their currency there. You got to be able to trade that into dollars at your bank and stuff. Well, China doesn't really allow their currency to float totally internationally yet, so it can rise and fall according to the demands of international trade, right? They manipulate, they manage that currency. They don't want it to get too strong because it hurts their trade. They'd rather see it weaken a little bit, but they also want to be in a situation where their currency matters out there. So I think it doesn't surprise me that they want to be acknowledged and start to have their currency be accepted in different places for oil, and without having to go through the conversion from say the Chinese yuan to the U.S. dollar and then convert it into Iraqi or whatever currencies it is. I guess it's a roundabout way of saying they matter these days. They matter a lot. So
after the last 20 to 30 years, this is what I've seen China do. And well, first you had the NAFTA, where I watched Westinghouse and Tappan's move out of here. I mean, this is where those two businesses started. It was right here. They moved to Canada and Mexico. I watched Chinese companies come in, buy out machine shops, take all the equipment back to China, or just dump them out at sea. And where now they have all the manufacturing, or a good percentage of the manufacturing. And entrepreneurs here in the U.S. can't put out a product that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Competitive in the market, because it's being made so cheap in China. I mean, and people here, entrepreneurs, I mean, there's maybe one or two looms here in the U.S. where people want to make certain garments, and then they got to pay extraordinary prices just for that because they want the stuff made in the USA. But the people, us, we can't afford it. And now, I mean, all these manufacturing jobs are gone. And China has been going around Africa and getting into the gold fields and stuff and just taking the resources out.
Yeah.
They've just been stockpiling all the natural resources. So they got a lot of gold. They got a good industrial base. They got a lot of people.
Yep.
And now you got France and these countries here calling for, hey, let's make China the new petrodollar because they're the most stable. You know, the U.S., who's the petrodollar, and you're seeing the stock market go crazy up. You're seeing our debt going insanely into the 22 trillion level.
You're right, Daniel. I mean, what would you do if you're prudent? What would you do if you're the minister of finance for France? You'd say, whoa, wait a minute here. You know, there's a lot at stake with holding this much currency right now. There's a lot of nasty stuff that could happen. There could be a liquidity crunch when things go down and everybody has to borrow money to cover their position. You could have a spike in interest rates that would pop this thing like there's no tomorrow. It seems prudent to me that they would do something like that. What's not cool, and I think what the president tried to do, was to start, I can't talk about the garment industry because that pretty much in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, a lot of that stuff just went overseas. You know, remember England used to make all the cotton and all the looms in England, and that passed to the U.S., and we passed over to Asia and those countries in the 70s and 80s. But isn't the president trying to bring back some of those fair trade? Like he really thinks our trade agreements stink. Our previous presidents had the idea that we should build up the rest of the world, and if we give them a break, we'll have better relations. We might be able, from a military point of view, to have better posture in the world. Maybe we'll be able to put a base in Thailand, or we'll be, you know, so give them a break. Let them import their stuff in here and don't put a lot of duties. Trump says, hey, this stuff is just going too far. You know, we're killing too much of our basic industry. I mean, if we had to produce a shitload of steel today, what kind of shape would we be in? I mean, I grew up in Baltimore with Sparrows Point Mill for Bethlehem Steel and the shipyards, and all that stuff is gone now. It's all closed down. A few mills in Pittsburgh and a few Indiana and a few other places. How could we produce what we need? We depend so much. So I think Trump saw this stuff and said, this has got to end. And you've seen U.S. steel prices go from about $7 a share to like $38 a share now, because they're getting the benefits of Trump's trade stand now and demanding U.S. steel and government contracts. And so I think it's reversing, Daniel, but I think it takes time to reach down to very low. You know, it hits the high guys, get the big boys get the advantages, and then it kind of trickles down to the steel service sector, steel service mills, and those kind of places. So I think it is kind of reversing.
I think we are. I just think we are sitting at this point in our country where another country can pretty much shut us down by saying, "Hey, we're calling in your loans.
Yeah.
And we're going to embargo. We're not going to ship nothing to you to put in your stores anymore. I mean, they just snap right down. I mean, they how hard really would it take someone
Well,
like?
it's not. I mean, the only thing that holds that back is that countries buy what's called structured debt. When they come in, they don't. You're not allowed to. If you're from overseas and you buy U.S. debt, you're not allowed to just say, "Here's $10 billion, and I want to get it back whenever I want. Whenever I call you, I want that $10 billion delivered back to me." You have to put it into something like a treasury bill, a 5-year bond, a 10-year bond.
Okay.
So you can't call it. They structure it. They spread.
All right,
it.
I got you. Now,
Yeah,
I mean, that's past debt. Oh, how about now when they could take these bonds and say the U.S. wants to sell some bonds to cover some spending that they're going to do, and nobody buys it.
That's where our bond market comes in. That's why we've had interest rates go down from 18% in 1979, 1980 to 2% now. You'd be crazy to lend your money on a 30-year bond for 2.75%. You'd be nuts. You know what can happen in 30 years to interest rates? In 5 years, interest rates could be 10, 11, 22, 23. It could be like Argentina or something like that. And then you've lost all of your capital. It's the worst bet in the world right now is lending money to put in bonds and things like that, because you're going to get screwed when rates go up, which they will, because as you say, that risk factor comes where some instability hits and suddenly people want to pull money out and they want to redeem bonds. Well, the bond market can't absorb all that selling. So interest rates have to start to rise to get more people to buy it. And it starts a cycle of higher rates that, that decimate more capital. It's a very precarious thing we've built here. And you really hit something tonight with that. I mean, that's one of those trigger points that we're kind of balanced right now, that if something happens, rates could just turn viciously higher as France and other countries say, whoa, get us off the crazy train. And all of a sudden everybody heads for the exit and everybody gets trapped inside like some terrible nightclub fire and they can't get out, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's like Fuzz just said, Obama shut down our last lead smelter in the U.S. We're totally relying on, foreign markets. But yeah, I think we might have beat this one over the head. I think maybe we drove the point down that manufacturing in the U.S., we can do some, but if we ever, had to sit there out on our own now, we're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like back in the 40s or 50s or 60s or even 70s where we could retool manufacturing to do something else. Because we've already drove off all the manufacturing of hard goods overseas. It's not that we drove them off, but we kind of, in a way, we did. I mean, we could make any plastic part you wanted, but, steel parts and planes and automobiles and stuff like that. We've hell, even textiles. We drove off all the textiles and was like, oh, no, we need high-tech jobs. Who was that? Was it George Bush Sr. or was it Jr.? They had that quote, well, we don't really need those jobs. We need high-tech jobs.
Wasn't that Clinton?
It might have been Clinton. I don't know. It was in that somewhere in the 80s or 90s. I don't remember.
What happened? Mills shut down like crazy in the South, all across South Carolina and North Carolina. How about the fine furniture? How about the furniture manufacturing? I mean, this thing behind me was made by Drexel in 1960. Cabinet shop with real wood, real walnut and stuff by real craftsmen. No plastic, no crap in that thing. But how much furniture industry is left down in High Point in those areas in the Carolinas? That's been decimated.
Oh, and like Linda Francis here just said, if we fight a war, you got to have textiles for clothing. Yeah. Do you know how long the military uniforms have all been made overseas now?
Yep.
You can't buy any U.S. made military uniforms.
So if you don't see the writing on the wall, you'll pay a hellacious price for for not being prepared. So yeah, I just worry a lot of times we depend too much on what flies through the air and not enough of being able to produce large quantities of capital goods we may need for a protracted conflict or something. We may not be able to do something like that. So I don't know. You really hit some good points today, Daniel. I mean, it's a lot to think about.
Well, we're turning ourselves into a third world country where we're relying on imports from oranges to, and the only thing we're really producing is money through corporations and stuff like that. I mean, that ain't a good base to come hard times to pull out of it. You know, if we drove off all the manufacturing, we're importing more than we're exporting. That makes us a third world country.
Yeah, I think
we're there yet, but we're pushing toward it.
Yeah, I like Daniel's this exploration. We import all this crap and our ships go out empty. Okay, let's face the fact out of Oakland, Long Beach. I mean, when you unload here, you're bringing a lot of goods. And what are they buying over there? Cardboard, recycled material that they're making boxes. They're recycling a lot of our crap over there. That's what fills up the ships going over that way. And a lot of agricultural products and stuff like, America definitely leads the world. It's a good, strong thing there. But like Daniel said, the dollars that these people take in, they start to pile up in huge piles in the treasury, and they look around and they say, oh shit, Japan's got growing big piles and China's got huge piles of these things. Man, there's too many of these things in the world. They're not going to be worth anything, and the purchasing power is going to be crap on this. So, we have to be very careful and not think that our dollar is invincible here, because it can always be undermined right beneath our very eyes here. So I think you really hit something really major there tonight, Daniel.
Got a new member, Informed State of Mind. What's up, Luke?
Hey, how's everybody? Good to see everybody.
I do.
I don't. Yeah, hey, how's it going, Rosie? I hate when I miss. When you're actually talking, because I learned so much in that short period of time, and I feel it's reliable. But yeah, you know what? I just heard someone else say this. Not even a week ago, they said, the U.S., Canada, you know what? They always manage to figure something out. It never seems to really fail. And I get that. And I said, but you can't remember that nothing is impossible, right? And we have seen this. History will repeat itself. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and what will cause that to take place. And it may not be anything what we perceive it to be. It might be something actually really small that starts that catalyst, such as certainly the lot of demonstrations that we've seen in the past few years, 5 years for sure. They started off as one particular thing, and it just opened up. And one of these times, it's going to be something that just we don't even see coming. Like the Bundys.
And it'll be something small. In 1929, it was the failure of the Credit Anstalt Bank in Austria that really tipped off the selling waves. It's hit the United States in the stock market in September, and ultimately led to the October 29th, waterfall cascade, and the depression was full on. But I think that you're very correct with that. That we don't know what the triggering event is going to be, but we see a lot of what we used to call in trading a lot of sap running up the trees now. Instead, that was the expression we used to use. The sap is running up the trees, and everybody would just be cautioned to lay off of. Yeah, you look like a fool in the short term because your returns weren't as great, but over the long run, you have a snoot for value, and that you're not going to get that return over the long haul. In other words, how big can Facebook grow? Do we have to put a Facebook account for your dog and cat next? I mean, how much can you grow these social networking things and all that? And what do they really produce? And we should be alarmed by our lack of things that we produce here. Somebody mentioned on the side that, when I was in high school, we took machine shop. I was running an engine lathe, and making knurls on nuts and doing things like that. How many people are going to be left to do that kind of work here? So yeah, you guys are really spot on tonight. I'll tell you, between you and Daniel, there's a lot to think about here.
Well, when all this crashes, and eventually it will. The last time you had a depression, who was the people that it affected the least? It was the hillbillies up in Appalachians, the people that were used to growing their own food and being self-reliant.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's since I got out of bed, that's what I've been working to get back to. And I've only got 2 years, and all my debt is paid off. I just hope I can make it to that 2-year point.
Yeah, the problem also is this guy's brilliant. I mean, you got some incredibly brilliant people on the side chat here. This guy, Atomic Bull here. This is what typically happens when capitalism hits these really big bumps in the road with major crashes and stuff. As he said, we abandon capitalism for socialism. The worse we get, and the more the left blames capitalism. Exactly. That's exactly the kind of situation that we're going to run in here. That these guys let this market run up, that this Federal Reserve was irresponsible for letting this bubble grow. And the call is going to be have much more extreme regulation. And we need to have a managed economy. We need the government to decide how high stocks should be or where the and it can just get. Then it can take on a life of its own, and you have things like the NRA are born, the National Recovery Act, and they start to dictate the wages that you can pay and the prices that'll be. We went down that road in the 1930s, with the New Deal and all that to try to pull out of the Depression, and that's a preview of coming attractions. That'll be in theater sometime in the future, guaranteed. There'll be that feeling like, well, capitalism failed us big time, so now we're going to let the George Soroses of the world come in with the New World Order and make things right, and things will turn out great. We can all sit under fig trees reading poetry in the sunlight and enjoy a great life.
Well, and one sad thing about the folks in the Appalachians right now is if the bottom did fall out, they're screwed because there are so many people addicted to prescription medications and meth right now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just the old people that still have the gardens, and their sons and grandkids, they're just in line getting welfare. And
I look at a picture in the paper here in the Press Democrat in Santa Rosa, and we had these horrendous fires with 6,000 homes lost. I mean, this community has just had its gut chopped out of it. Now we have legalized marijuana, and the newspaper shows pictures of a line a mile long. You look at the people in the line and you examine the photo, and they're all people like 21 years old and 21 to 35 years old standing in line. And you wonder to yourself, wow, a lot of these people can't pass drug screenings anymore and stuff. And I really worry this prescription drug epidemic. Being in the medical field, I see this playing out every single day, even with friends on YouTube that can't get things like they're addicted to things, and they're hurting out there. And this thing is just so bad. I mean, it's another great point tonight. It's cutting the gut out here. It's our future leadership and our, what would you say, our drive to succeed is being cut off. It's being truncated right now. It's being muted. I'm afraid. Between social media, even they were talking this week about Apple slapping warning labels on phones because their fear of what this social networking and stuff is doing to this generation of kids. I went to a restaurant over Christmas time. We do food reviews every week, and there was a family sitting at the table next to me, and the 5-year-old kid had an iPad, had a pad. You can see it in the video. Had a pad set up in front of him. He had his earphones on, and he's trying to eat while he's watching. He's dropping the food all down his front. And at the other end of the table is a 3-year-old kid with his little pad. Now, these are kids that they're never going to understand socialization. They're never going to understand how to just sit at a table and behave and to pay attention and learn manners. I see a lot of things that are very worrisome in the world, in young people today. So I think there's a lot to be written still about the play out of all this social networking and stuff. That's for sure.
You got the momentum, though. I mean, law enforcement, for instance, even, in that sense, is don't try to handle it yourself. Just call us and we'll come take care of it. If you have a problem with your next door neighbor, just call us. Don't talk to your neighbor, but just call us. I mean, so it's just perpetuating that ideology of just not being social, right? We all want to keep our heads down, mostly because some of our, there's people out there who need to be medicated, certainly, but they're on the streets because there's a system that's failed. Right, an infrastructure that's been put in place years ago. Maybe it wasn't perfect, certainly, been refined, but the reality is that that's now gone. So now, you've got so many different people, so many different cultures, so many different ideologies crammed into one place. You're going to have conflict. In that sense, more people just want to literally look down, straight ahead, blinders on, and not even interact because you just don't know. And again, there's that. I don't know, that incubation, I guess, of that ideology from every perceivable stance. It's just, social media is there.
I was just struck with the idea that we're a big world, but it got suddenly very smaller, a much smaller world. And I don't mean in terms of being connected. I mean in terms of having your face in this. Your world is now here. When I grew up, the world was out there, and it gave people free time to think about things and put ideas together and to formulate creative to understand how you think about the world. Down here, it's all you're waiting for the next incoming, and you're not really thinking about, you're walking into traffic, crossing a street and getting run over by cars and stuff because you're so enthralled by what's going on in this little world down here. And I think it's going to be interesting and a terrible way to see how this plays out with the younger generation. I mean, could you imagine if all the social networking was turned off in 24 hours? They should make a Hollywood movie about it. There'd probably be people pitching themselves out of the window.
They already have that. They already have.
Oh,
they already have that. It's called. There's a series called The Walking Dead.
Holy fuck. I mean, you have people pitch themselves, be like, "Oh my God, it's been 7 hours and the network's not up," and then I can't even text my friend to tell him I can't communicate to him. What am I going to do? I don't walk anywhere. I better get in my car and drive. Oh shit! My Bluetooth's not working in my car. How can I make this call?
I watched a little animation movie a few years ago. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I don't have kids, but I watched it anyway, and I thought it was enjoyable. But Wall-E, it was this little animation thing set in the future, and people had gotten so far out of touch with reality. They were all in hover little carts or whatever. They talked to each other, but they never looked at each other. Everything was through a screen.
Yeah.
And it was like a point in the movie where like two people seen each other in real life, and it like freaked them out. And it was like, yeah, that's where we're headed. And there was a lot more to it.
Tales in offices where people are all actually having meltdowns because they're not allowed to be on social networking during work time. Can you imagine running a lathe and being on a phone checking your social media or pouring some molten or shaping or using a brake in the sheet metal shop or something? And I mean, it's nonsensical, but people are starting to go into meltdowns in offices because they can't be allowed to use their cell phones during office hours for personal business. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's an addiction.
Yeah, technology is an addiction, no doubt. But
I mean, look at Rick, right? He's like, don't shoot.
Well, I think most of us just listening to this chat or watching this chat or in the chat or whatever, we know enough to turn that shit off and put it to the side, you know, and deal in real life. I mean, I have conversations on my cell phone that eventually I'll just like, I ain't got time for this shit, and I'll turn off all the notifications. You know, it's like, just leave me the fuck alone. You know, I got shit to do. But the younger generation, unfortunately, it drives them crazy if they don't get notifications or, you know, somebody's not interacting or, from what I see, it's like, you know, they put up some whatever, they put up some post or something. And if they don't get a certain number of responses, it like stresses them out. They're like addicted to social media.
Yeah.
Instead of real life.
TR, I got to ask you, did you get our Christmas card?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I thought I texted you. Yeah, I got it.
Show our picture later. Give everybody a tease on the Christmas card pick. I mean, Rick's showing up all his.
I'll go get it. Hang on.
Yeah, get it later. So, but you're right. I mean, I see I fear for, you know, when you just see this, your world is just this size now. So, yep.
It, you know, I can understand growing up with that, how it would be that big. Cause, I had to admit, like if I have gone to work and forgot my cell phone, and it was like almost, it took me an hour or two to fucking readjust.
Are like, damn, he keeps feeling his pockets everything. Where the fuck is my
Damn it. You know, they're gonna think I don't give a shit or whatever, you know. But you know, after a few hours, it was like, well, fuck, I grew up without a cell phone. I mean, I don't really need it. It's convenient, but I don't have to have it. But there's a generation you know, way behind us that if the cell phone's turned off, they will freak out. That will be the zombies of the next generation. If the cell towers all go down, that will be the zombies.
They have HR departments that are now being trained to deal with social media meltdowns in the office workplace and stuff. That'll call everybody into a conference room and have a 2-day touchy-feely sort of meeting and tree-hugging extravaganza to talk about how we can integrate social media into the workplace. I mean, please, right? I mean, wow. Google, don't do that shit.
But it's happening, right? I mean, the cell phone, leaving the house without a cell phone is going to be a big deal shortly. And it's happening right now. We pay for our things with our cell phones. I don't. I can't figure that out. But, you know, you tap it or whatever the case is. Even when I was in law enforcement, for instance, without a cell phone, man, it would be really hard. Honestly, you wouldn't be able to communicate. You wouldn't be able to get some files that you needed. Everything's kind of instantaneous now, right? It certainly helps.
So many people have hardwired phones now, landline. I mean,
well, you know. I have one because, you know, if the hydro goes out, that still works. How many people know that? That's the other thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying the average person. I mean, I gave up and I don't know. You know, everything's on cell phone. It's a changing world. We're all at the mercy of, you know, when the fires hit here, we lost 27 cell towers or something. And there was a mini freak out amongst a lot of people here with that stuff. So I've seen what happens when the stuff goes down.
Hey, Rosie, didn't I tell you those mudslides are going to happen?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're just getting deluged here, 3 inches in 24 hours. And it's been finally cleared off a bit today, Rick, but it's kind of sad. I went out there and saw every foundation. We did drone flyovers, if you want to see. Every foundation has to be pulled out, and 6 inches of soil has to be taken off of every site. If you watch some of our drone flyovers, you can see that. It's just heartbreaking to see where 6,000 homes burned down and stuff. It's just a catastrophic number. And now the mud comes in, which slows up the cleanup effort. We're only 30% removal of debris. So we're looking at a 10-year rebuild here for sure.
I had a question for Luke. I know you're out of the law enforcement arena now, but and you are in Canada. I was kind of hoping Blue was here too still. But isn't there a rule or a law if you have a, if you have a lock on your phone like a password, it's different than having a thumbprint. Like if you, here's what I heard. I probably all bullshit, but if you have the biometrics part, like this phone will take biometrics. If you have that linked where it's on, it's different. They're able to access it because of a certain thing. But if it's just the lock, like the code to put in is different. They're unable to access it without a warrant. Have you heard anything like that?
No, I haven't heard anything that specific. I think that was more U.S. news. I think first and foremost because I think it was something to do with the FBI was trying to get access. It was an iPhone thing, right? That was the big thing. Up here, it's if we can have articulable cause that the phone is related to the crime somehow, or it's evidence, we can seize the phone as evidence certainly, and there can be orders made, right, and warrants certainly to get into the phone or bypass it or whatever at that case, because we can take custody of the phone, right? But without articulable cause, then no. I mean, you have to have grounds to grab it, right, to seize it, right? And again, in the States, man, I don't know. Asset forfeiture, who knows? I mean, what gets tied into all that shit? So I mean, it's on a Canadian point, I don't know. We still follow the law.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I know there was some type of ruling or something back in the day, but I don't know. You got a great question about the 19X out there. I give it a thumbs down. I think it's
all right. I made a comment on Coda Boy's one of his latest videos. I mean, he makes like 7 videos a fucking day or something like that, so it's hard to keep up. Anyway, as far as Glock coming out, this is just my personal opinion. As far as Glock's coming out with a new model, I have to blame all the hype, all the bullshit on Glock fanboys. If the manufacturer makes a slight modification to a gun and they say, okay, here's our new edition or whatever, I really don't see Glock being the one. Not that I'm a Glock fanboy by no means. They're not the ones that hype it up like, oh, this is the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. No, fucking YouTube gun fucking nuts get out there and say, oh, look at this. Look at, oh my God, they got this and this does this and blah, 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 blah. And it's the Glock fanboy YouTube operators. That's the ones that hype this shit up to make it seem bigger than it is.
Well, everybody's trying to get the first gun and the first video out there. I don't know. I wasn't impressed with the last 2 versions Glock made.
Well, I mean, but there again, that's what I'm saying. Did Glock hype it up, or did YouTube gun fucking gurus hype it up?
I don't even know if it's hyped up because I haven't watched one video on it. Because honestly, I don't give a shit. Like, it's a great gun. Gen 1 through 4 is a great tool. Other than that, who gives a shit if it's got a extra bell and a whistle on it? Who gives it? I mean, as long as it works, who cares? But when you just start putting colors on it and putting a short slide with a long grip, it's like, come on, fuck.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's YouTubers that hype it up more than anything. All right. I'm going to show. Oh, well, I'll wait. I'll wait. Anyway, but I seriously think all the hype when it comes to new guns, I think gun channels, YouTubers, magazines.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have
the ones that hype it up.
broken one.
For what, too?
Well, I don't know what else to do for it.
Is it still bugging him? Oh. We'll give him the spray. He can spray it on himself.
And we're gonna have to mute Luke. There you go. I think when manufacturers come out with a new gun, I think it's gun magazines, YouTubers, you know, gun channels. They're the ones that hype it up like to be the, oh fuck, this is the greatest thing in the fucking world. I don't really see it from the manufacturers. I see it from the channels and magazines and different things like that that hype it up. I mean, Glock is like a, I won't say it's like a 1911, but you can add a beaver tail safety to it and it don't make it, oh well, fuck, that's the greatest thing it ever was. You know, they may just say, oh, we made an improvement. But some gun channel or some YouTuber may, you know, hype it up as like, holy shit, look what they done. This is the shit.
Well, and you got to remember, I was a huge Glock fanboy, and I still enjoy Glocks. But just because a bell or a whistle shows up, which isn't even a bell or a whistle in Glock's mind, because they're not doing anything new. Come out with an aluminum frame, beaver tail, you know, do something different. Like, just because you made something ambidextrous or put a coat of fucking paint on it and put a 19 on a 17 slide, it's like, who gives a rat's ass? You can make the same gun that you already have by putting if you have a 19, you can put a 17 mag in it, and ta-da, you just fix the whole thing. I just saved you guys $600.
Yeah, exactly. You just take a 19 and put a 17 mag in it, but boom, you got a Glock 5.
Ta-da!
I tell you what, if Glock ever comes out with a hammer fired gun, then they could hype the shit out of it.
Yeah. If they could pull off a Glock with the 1911 trigger, a beaver tail, ambidextrous safety, and slide release or slide stop, that should create the world of YouTube craziness. Like, then you guys should be out there going, yeah, the Glock 2.957, whatever the hell they're going to call it. Now that would be a badass gun. Make a steel frame or a aluminum frame. Do something different. And here's a Glock right here. My carry gun is a Glock because it's reliable. But if you want to get all crazy, Glock company, make something new. Shit.
Yeah, you guys just convinced me. I'm just going to shoot a video tomorrow that says, what happens when a rookie gets a hold of a real gun?
I tell you what, there's a ton of different guns out there. In the early 90s, if you took the polymer striker-fired thing from Austria that came out, it was cutting edge. It was badass. It was like, holy shit, this thing's light. It holds a shit ton of ammo. It's accurate as hell, and it's reliable as hell. But we're in 2017. There's guns with better ergonomics, better control, better triggers, pull, better everything out there nowadays. So Glock relies on its reliability and durability. And, you know, they sell a shit ton of them, and they're a great gun. But there's companies out there now that look a lot different, have kind of weird grips. Because I look at newer guns and I go, oh, that grip's kind of weird looking, but it's ergonomically feels comfortable in your hand. If you closed your eyes and they put the gun in your hand, you weren't allowed to see it, and you shot it, you'd probably fall in love with that gun more than you would any of the Glocks.
I just shot my first striker fire a couple weeks ago when the Scotsman was down here. I shot his Beretta. And the trigger on that, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised on how well that gun shot. And I've never shot a Glock in my life. I don't know. I might have, but I think it. I'm just thinking about the trigger on it, but I've never shot one, so I just badmouth them.
See, and that's the thing. Somebody buys a Glock. The first thing we change are the sights and the trigger. So you're looking at, depending on what trigger you're getting, you know, it could be anywhere from like $50 up to $250. And then a nice good pair of metal sights, you know, there's another $100. So take that into consideration when you go shopping. Glock is not perfection anymore. It was back then because it ran well, was reliable, and durable. But there's so many other guns out there now that are. Look at the CZ P10. See, striker fired, better trigger, better ergonomics. You know, it's like, just give them a try. Now, they're putting SIG in there. Me personally, I'm not a big SIG guy because of the height of the sights. Basically, that's my disadvantage to that, but I'm not a big SIG fan. But other than that, there's other ones out there. Don't be stuck on just Glock.
All right, Rosie's back, and she mentioned her card that she sent me.
Oh, here we go. Yay.
Here we go. I'm going to show the card, so watch your eyeballs, and that's what she sent me.
Yay, Mary Joy. That's it. Yep. Don't read our love note to you inside, please.
Yeah, I won't read the personal love notes, but yeah, that's what she sent me. It wasn't any naked photos or anything.
That's it, brother.
Get a little suspense in there.
That's it.
Rick, I got to defend the SIG for a minute because my pocket gun is a P238, and the thing's a little tack driver. I mean, but that's the only SIG I've ever owned. So,
they're great. They're accurate as hell. They're a
yeah.
great gun. Law enforcement loves them. I just don't like the sight height, the bore radius.
Oh, on the little things?
Yeah, just from the bottom of the slide, to the height of the top where the sights would be, on a lot of the full-size frame SIG, it seems to be like a 1/4 inch or more taller, which can equate to more recoil.
Well, I fixed that.
It doesn't line up to me when I punch out the sights. I'm not used to the height, so
Yeah, this is my pocket gun, so it's like I fixed that whole problem. Got the little laser on there. Not that I see it if you daytime and you pull it out, but who's going to be aiming anyways?
I got one guy. He's when I run the shooting range on Thursdays. There's one guy that runs a laser. He has an optic, a red dot, and a laser. Sometimes he runs them both at the same time. You know, he bounces back and forth. And I tell you what, that thing would drive me the hell crazy. That thing, I see that thing all over it's fucking everywhere. Like, I'm just like, that would drive me nuts.
So you're like a cat. You see the dot and you start chasing it?
Well, no, I'm sitting there with the timer. Well, that was my timer. And I'm like, all I see is the dot, and it's all over the target. And then he'll pull the trigger. You know, he'll put it on the target, and then he'll pull the trigger, and it'll be off. You know, you can see it's good for figuring out what your trigger pull's doing if it's not spot on or not. It's good for different things like, you know, conceal carry kind of stuff.
Oh, what we're talking about too, though, is is a firearm that you're used to, right? You put 1,000 rounds downrange of any particular weapon, right? You're going to become proficient with that weapon. If not, probably should just hang it all up all together and go home. But what you like, what you prefer, certainly that's a different story. But I think it's like when they switched and they went to Glock. I mean, if we're talking law enforcement, you had to get used to it, right? And you liked things about it, right? The grip felt better, you know what I mean? It wasn't this great big freaking club in your hand at one point. So I mean, it was just a lot of different things, and certainly, I've always kind of thought that way. You know, what I prefer is one thing, but what you can get used to is another. You will adapt and overcome.
Yeah, for sure.
But one thing I found out that you definitely got to watch. That's why I got this gun apart right now. After carrying it around in your pocket for a month or two, it gets dried up. I mean, this thing. Yeah, well, there's no lint in it right now, but as far as the grease is pretty much rubbed out, gone, and it just needs a good cleaning.
Well, that might be something you want to think about, especially where you live too. You might want to think a little less grease and more oil.
Yeah,
even here, I grabbed a few guns that were sitting in a cold room, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit. Actually, that AR-10 I was trying to put a trigger in yesterday that didn't end up working. I had greased that thing up pretty good, and you can tell. I mean, it's like fucking peanut butter on there now, but worse.
Yeah, I noticed that because my wife's Remy, I shot that, and it's a new gun, and it was like single digits. But that thing, I mean, I had to slap the back of it a couple times to get it to cycle forward the rest of the way because it was just cold and that grease was just getting hard.
Yeah, once you put some rounds through it and it warms up, it's all good.
And Greg Campbell, yes, I do have a pocket holster for this gun.
Good grease stays where you put it.
Yeah.
Our carrier said it does stay there, but sometimes it's almost a hindrance on the slide of the bolt.
Thinking, what is that? That's silicone? It's like a silicone powder. Have you guys used it?
Not in firearms, no. I use Lucas oil for most stuff, and Lucas grease.
Amanda's thinking about getting the gun, so she wants to see it. I'm going to put this kind of back together.
I use this, Daniel. Here's the grease I use.
Okay, I should get that at work.
And then I use this.
Rick, hold that up again. I didn't get on.
It's all Lucas products.
Okay, thanks.
And then this is the extreme duty gun oil, which works way better. It's got a needle, so you can put it exactly where you want it. And then this stuff works better than this gun oil, the Lucas gun oil, which is just a regular gun oil. But they're both good, but this one's better.
And what's the little one called again?
This one, extreme duty.
Okay.
If a shot of WD-40 don't do it, you need a new gun. Fuck it.
Well, and like TR said, right below it.
Yeah. Like a true CB. You know?
That's the shit that keeps you shit from rusting up sometimes.
How much of that shit did you go through, TR? Huh?
Hey, it's a huge difference. When I moved to North Carolina, the way the weather is and the humidity and all that shit, it is a completely different animal for maintenance of guns. I went into the gun safe deal. I came back out. I was like, holy shit. I had like fuzz growing off my firearms, like green fucking fuzz to be like a mold. It was crazy. Mostly on the wood stuff and leather stuff. I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah, you definitely got to watch the wood and leather especially. If there's humidity in there, man, that shit will hold up quicker.
Well, then I tried this product. If I still have it, I might have used the whole can. See, like, I've always used rim oil, but this company sent me some shit to try out. What the hell is it?
Damn, Rick will start reloading here in a minute. If we don't get
Oh, right here.
control of them.
So it says long-term protectant, right? And I did these videos that I never put out. I don't think I put them out. And I literally douche my whole firearm. Just, I mean, the whole thing, wood, fucking all the metal, everything. Just, and I mean, it's dripping off. Like you couldn't, it wouldn't hold anymore. I put it in the safe. And when I say safe, it's not like a metal safe. It's like a room kind of thing. Like a few months later, I came back. It was completely dry, where like WD-40 will leave a oil film on it, or the rim oil will leave a film on it. So I don't think I ever did a video on this stuff because I would have ended up just saying it sucked ass. So don't buy this shit. Otis has good products for cleaning guns, but this stuff was a new item they did, and it's not very good. But you didn't hear that from me.
Well, there's a lot of people just use like Fuzz put out there, 3-in-1 oil, WD-40. Well, he didn't say all this. Just freaking regular old axle grease.
Yep.
You got to remember, guns were lubed and oiled and fired way back before all these fancy oils and greases would come out. And if you go back far enough, they were using caustic ammo or gunpowder. You know, you hosed the gun out with water, you oiled it up to keep it from rusting. And this was before rim oil and blah, 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 blah. We're talking about ammunition that would fucking eat your gun alive. And they were just using basic oils and greases.
Yeah, exactly, like a 40 weight or something, and then axle grease and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like a 45 Lone Colt or whatever. Black powder, that shit would, if you didn't clean your gun, it would eat that gun up. They actually literally washed it out in a freaking creek and probably greased it up with some kind of shitty fucking axle grease. And they were good to go.
Well, and that's like all your solvents and stuff. Like I've always used hops as like ever since I was a tiny kid cleaning guns, it was always hops, basic solvent.
Mm-hmm.
But like brake cleaner shit, I use this fucking, you get in all the cracks you can't reach with a brush or something. This stuff works great. But it will take all the oil off. So if you don't oil it again, you could get some rust. So that's the one thing about douching these guns with this kind of stuff. You got to
Yeah, I don't even want to leave it on there too on any finishes on any wood too. That might interfere with that. I'd say.
Yeah.
I think most people clean their guns more than they need to, but it's always nice to have a clean gun.
I don't.
Oh, I know you don't.
I go from Farmageddon without cleaning my guns. The last Farmageddon I went to, I took the same guns or some of the same guns and was like, yeah, I had cleaned these. I literally took a can of WD-40, opened the action, and just hosed the shit out of it, drip dried it. It's like, all right, we're ready to go.
Yeah. And you should be able to do that. I think the only gun that I really had to clean was that Marlin Model 60 that I put gazillion rounds through because the lead just kept building up. I mean, like where the bolt wouldn't even close because, you know, right on the face and underneath it.
Yeah, my Ruger Mark II pistol. I finally took apart. I did a video on it. It didn't have much response, but I had shot it for 20 years without taking it apart and cleaning it.
There you go.
Wow.
I mean, I would open it up, lock the chamber back and like hose it down. But I had literally not taken it apart in 20 fucking years, because the last time I took it apart, I had to send it back to Ruger to put it back together. And and so I was like, I watched a bunch of videos and I was like, all right, I got this. And I took it apart and it was like, holy shit, this thing's nasty.
Yeah.
But hey, it was still running.
Exactly. That's badass. Yeah, when you're using like the dental picks, like the real metal ones, not the plastic ones, that get that shit out, because just breaking out chunks of stuff. You're like, I hope that wasn't a metal piece that was supposed to be in there. Like, ding.
The inside evidently watched that video. Yeah, that son of a bitch was nasty. Well, it scared the hell out of me. I took it apart in the 90s. It was probably 30 years ago. Took it apart in the 90s and I put it back together and screwed up the safety. I had to send it to Ruger to get them to fix it. They fixed it for free, but it took 30 years for me to get the guts to pull it back together, back apart again. They're a complicated little freaking gun.
You seen how easy it is now?
Yeah, it really ain't that big a deal. It just seemed like a big deal at the time.
No, but have you seen how easy they are now to take apart, the new ones?
Oh, yeah, the new ones. Yeah.
It's stupid easy.
Now, do any of you guys...
Even Daniel could do it.
Oh, what? Take a gun apart? Yeah, except unless it's a Kimber, and then you got to have needles and all this other stuff, and watch out for a spring that flies across the room. Now, do any of you guys season your barrels?
What?
Season your barrels like you do on a long gun?
Yeah, you just pull the trigger.
No, it's like, I started seasoning. It's like seasoning a frying pan, except you do it to the gun barrel. I started out with my muzzle loader, and it's like where I can just, after I take a shot, I can just take the ramrod, jam it down, pull it right out with one hand. Or before, you'd have to have two grown men and a puppy to get that ramrod out of the gun. But it just it makes the long gun so much accurate more, and it keeps that barrel clean. And my new gun, I think I'm just going to go through the same cycle with it and season its barrel.
I've heard of it only with muzzle loaders. Never heard of it with anything else.
Yeah, I started doing it with my high-powered rifles and everything else, and it just keeps the accuracy and just improve. It just seems like it improves the accuracy because it keeps.
How are you seasoning
the accuracy?
I use the muzzleloader bore butter, and I'll just start out with a clean barrel, run the bore butter down there, fire one shot, then just clean it, but don't clean it with solvent. I'll just clean it with more bore butter and dry patch until the powder's gone, and then I'll just put another light coat of bore butter on it, shoot it one time, and just repeat that process 20 times. And it just gets down into the pores of the metal of the barrel.
You're talking about a rifle, though.
Well, I'm going to try it on the pistol. I mean, if I spent this much money on a couple pistols, I'm going to season these barrels.
Yeah, you should season that Shadow too, just because it's so badass.
Yeah, it's Thompson Center bore butter there, Fuzzy.
Yeah. Check how easy this is, all right? So you got to have it on safe, and there's a button back here. See, you hit the button, pops off that fast. So now cleaning is like a breeze. That's how freaking easy the Ruger Mark IV is. And it's back together, TR. You want to do like a race or anything?
Hell no. Now you got to flip a lever and pull out the, yeah, no.
Here's my 22 that I've had for. See, it's in a bag that I WD-40'd just to keep it from rusting. Let's see how it did. But the Browning Buckmark. I've had this gun so long. I love this gun. It's so accurate. That smooth as silk.
You know what we should do the next time we go down to the farm is all of us bring some 22s and run the courses through with some 22s.
What, shoot some playing cards in half?
No, fuck that. No.
You see Big Johnson did that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that video.
You know what? And I believe him. He probably did hit it the first shot, and my comment was I would walk away and not try it again because he could shoot another 1,000 rounds and not do it again.
I got my murder gloves on. Everybody's commenting about my black gloves.
It don't look like it fits.
It doesn't fit. No, I figured this thing would be all oily, but it's actually not. So let's give it a little shot of WD-40.
Now I'm really thinking about that. The board butter, especially on the ARs, that could help keep the carbon from building up around, the ejectors and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to try that out.
I don't know. I shoot thousands of rounds before I clean mine. So,
see you guys, and I'm not exaggerating. So this thing is wet as shit. It's dripping right now. It'll go back in the bag, back into the evidence bag, as somebody said it. Because that gun's old, and I want my kids to shoot it. And I don't want it to, not that they're not shooting it, but, when I die, I want that to be one of, like, the guns that Dad had forever kind of gun.
What kind of grips is on that?
Just a stock grip.
I mean, are they wood? Are they plastic?
No, it's plastic. Actually, Browning makes I think like 5 models of this now. They got ones with really nice grips. When this one came out, at the time, all I knew was that they made this one. There could have been other ones as well, but it is accurate as accurate can be for a pistol.
yep. Most 22 pistols are, the accuracy is just stupid.
Yeah, Bizarriza Jizza says we should bring paintballs to the farm and shoot the shit out of each other.
No, I'm thinking airsoft guns. That's
yeah,
no airsoft. No. Somebody would fuck up.
Bring a real one out there.
Why is my gun going boom, 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 and everybody else is going ding, ding, ding?
Somebody get shot.
Yeah, some of those things look exactly like the real deal.
Amanda, if you showed up to that, you'd end up being the rabbit, and everybody else would be hunting the rabbit. You'd have more welts on you than never mind.
Yeah, no airsoft or paintball at Farmageddon. That somehow that would end up bad. I don't know why I say that, but I could just see that. A paintball could be fun. I used to love playing paintball. I played a lot of paintball.
We got about 20 or 30 teenagers here that run around all the different farms doing the airsoft wars. And they're, and then one guy teaches them about battles and everything. So they're getting a good education.
Yeah.
And learning the lay of the land.
The problem with paintball and airsoft, it can teach you some fundamentals, but the range is so limited, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't get me wrong, it can teach you tactics and, you know, how to go about things. It's just like I said, the range is very unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, you're starting them out close range and like that.
Yeah.
Then you come over here, sit on the bench, and grab the big boy guns and reach out there at 400 plus yards.
Yeah.
I got to sight 2 guns in tomorrow. Crazy Scotsman, he's got to sight 1 in tomorrow. So we'll probably start out at 50 yards, then go to 100, and then just see where we go from there. I'm just sighting in a couple 22 Magnums, but he'll probably want to try to stretch it out to 300.
Mm-hmm.
What gen do you guys think this is? This might be that new Gen 5, huh?
That's Gen 6, ain't it?
It's 6.5.
6.5, okay.
Gen 1. So if I flared out if I got a heat gun and I flared out the mag well and I glued on a fucking Picatinny rail of it, I'd have
Is that non-skid you taped onto there?
Yeah, every gun I have except for a couple has grip tip on it. I don't care what it looks like as long as it stays in my hand when I'm going. And living out in California too, your hands would sweat a lot when you're shooting in the 198-degree weather.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that where I'm at as far as sweating too bad.
It's a good gun though. Up for sale today.
Have you done any shooting, Rosie, lately?
Shooting holes in Doritos. She's froze up on it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, have I done any shooting? We've not been shooting for a couple of, the weather and then all the stuff with the fires came down and stuff, and we just got really distracted here. So we're hoping, I think we're going to get a stretch of nice weather coming out. So we're hoping to get out there. Of course, now you're competing with all the Christmas time shooters that got their pieces for Christmas and everything. And it really becomes a shit show at it there, our little range out here. So we're hoping.
I got 2 questions, Rosie. Where the hell's my moonshine?
Yeah, where the hell's your moon? I guess I'm going to personally deliver it because we're going to be coming through. Meet up with Debbie Lynn. We're going to see TR down there in South Carolina, so we'll drop you off some. Don't worry, we've got you covered.
And then
we're not making any more, so that'll be it. So
what did you get?
we just did a run. We got a.
I know. I was watching your video.
Yeah, there we go. So I can't wait to get out shooting again, Rick. We're gonna have to do some really serious gun cleaning here too. I don't think did we clean guns, Jen? Not yet. So we're gonna have to do that. So we're gonna get out. Maybe this weekend will be sunny, Rick. Be able to get out there and get some shooting done. I just love this. I'm still looking at the 38 Smith & Wesson Police Special. That's what I started on in way back when, and I'd like to get to have a revolver again. I really like revolvers. I enjoyed shooting them, and I always felt myself more accurate with a revolver for some reason. I don't know why. So maybe just the feel and the way it lays in my hand. I don't know if there's anything to that, but of course, TR will tell you it's just how it fits in your hand. You know, the best gun's the one that fits you good, and you can wield it effectively. So revolver just has the 38 always had a great feel to it.
Is Debbie Lynn doing her barbecue again? Is that when you're coming down?
No, it's going to be in late February, TRs. I'm going to be on a 3-week trip coming cross country and then down through North Carolina and then South Carolina, then down to Jacksonville and across to Tampa, around that area. So,
okay.
Got people to see. So we're going to stop a day or two at Debbie Lynn's over there. So we're hoping to meet up with you and buy you dinner down there.
Well, definitely let me know.
Oh, I will.
Give me some heads up.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can stay over at Sonia's little A-frame on the lake there. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Thank you.
She'd love to have you, I'm sure.
Rosie, check out the Ruger SP101 too.
Let me get my pen, Rick. Hold on a minute. You're a wealth of information, my friend. You're killing me with overload here. Hold on a minute. Damn Lucas oil, all this stuff. I'm ready to grab my Lucas top cylinder conditioner. No, don't use that. Here we go. Lucas. Now, what is, you want me to look at the Ruger?
Yeah, SP101.
SP101. Tell me why.
Huh?
Tell me why.
It's just a great revolver.
Okay. I would buy one on your recommendation alone, Rick. I'm going to go see. We only got one gun shop left here. The other one burned to the ground, but the ones in all of our videos burnt down. Let's see if they have that over there. Okay, it's cool.
You might like it.
I know you love Ruger. I know that. You're a Ruger fanboy.
Well, I'm not even a revolver guy at all. I mean, I have one revolver, and it's a 22 revolver. But my mom and I, we rented that gun years back, and she shot that thing so damn good, and it was just a great shooting revolver. So it's not too big, not too small. It's in the hand real well. Yeah, see, Southern Style has the 4-inch version.
Okay.
So he could probably tell you more about it, but
I lost the side chat over here.
It's a really nice gun.
I'll be right back.
Oh.
Now, are all the SP101s, are they all 5 shots, or they got 6 shots too? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember that was a great pistol. We shot, that thing was so damn accurate, and it was a pretty damn good price. And I heard great stuff about it. I haven't heard anything bad about it.
Yeah. I know the Rugers compared to the Smith & Wessons, they're definitely a better price range.
Yeah.
They might be heavier, a little bulkier, but not necessarily the SP101. That's pretty small gun, but it's still a little hefty gun. Yeah,
it's got weight to it, so there's not too much recoil.
Mm-hmm.
In 357, I guess it's a 6-shot. Is what gunmetal's saying.
Yeah. Okay, 5-shot except for the 327 mag in a 22 long rifle. Okay. Yeah, I got a GP100. I love that gun.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, speaking of that, I love my Ruger revolvers. Ruger might not be the best manufacturer for semi-automatics, but as far as revolvers, you cannot go wrong with a Ruger revolver.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't own one semi-auto they have except the 22. But the revolvers are nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Warpack said it comes in 7-shot now for the GP100.
TR and Rick and Daniel, I'm gonna have to pop out. I got something going on here, so
okay.
I appreciate everybody on the chat, and TR, thanks as usual for an invite. 2.5 years, my friend.
Yep. Well, like I said, but when you come down, give me some
absolutely, we'll definitely you'll definitely know. We'll get it nailed down for you, TR. Okay, it's a definite. We're gonna be there. So.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Night, Rosie.
Night, Rosie.
Thank you, side chat.
A lot of people are asking, why not, Rick? The Ruger makes a decent 1911. It's not that I just personally wouldn't buy one. not to say that the quality is bad or they're unreliable or anything like that. Just I have preferences, and those wouldn't be my top company to go with when it comes to semi-autos. And I'm not no crazy gun expert. I'm just saying I fell in love with Glocks years ago. I like the CZs. I'm an Infinity guy. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I know that, and I have to agree that Ruger probably shouldn't concentrate on center fire semi-autos, but that Security 9 that they come out with, I seen Dan, the firearm guy, review. That ain't, I mean, I don't know. I hadn't touched one. I hadn't seen one. But for less than $300, a modern polymer frame, 9mm semi-automatic, reliable handgun, it might be something to look at for a new shooter. I don't know. I'd like to get my hands on one just to try it. But I'm a CZ guy, 1911. I do own a Glock, and I carry a Glock a lot, but it does kind of intrigue me. I mean, a gun 275 out of the box, brand new, 9mm full size fucking gun. And what it is like that little LCP I got, but blown up into a full size. It's like, man, I'd be kind of curious.
Yeah, I need to go out on the limb and try them out again. I can't remember what model I tried. It just felt really crappy made. And I think I made judgment on just that model and kind of just fucking shied away from Ruger when it came to semi-autos. Just kind of, not to say I didn't give them enough try, but there were so many other guns on the market that I was like, I don't need to go over here. Not to say that they don't have anything good, but.
Well, to be honest, I probably wouldn't buy one even now, just because I already own 3 different manufacturers of 9mm as it is. I don't need to invest in more magazines in another firearm. I got 2 CZ75s, a HKP7, and a Glock, and a high power. So that's 4. I don't need to invest any more fucking 9mm. I'm done with that. If I get another one, it'll be just a copy of what I already have.
I like to get the Shadow 2 like Daniel.
You mean something like this?
You know what's funny? It is. I don't even know if funny is the right word. Like, the CZ is a great gun. And there's a lot of talk and hype about the CZ. And it's all good and worthwhile. But there's guns that blow CZ away. I'm just telling you. And I won't even name the names because I don't need to get into a debate that STI and SBI are better. But they're more expensive.
Rick, I picked this up because my first tour in the Navy, I could have bought an Anaconda, I could have bought a Python, and a Desert Eagle by Israeli Arms. I had the money. I didn't buy it because I just wasn't that interested. If I would have bought those guns, how much would they be worth right now? Because I still would have had them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I shot them. Pardon, TR?
I said 3 or 4 times what it would cost you to buy them then.
Yeah. I mean, they were like $600 to $700 each back then.
Oh yeah,
when it first came out.
Close to $2,000 now.
So show your gun off.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Here's my carry gun. The SP01.
You have the Shadow 2? See, and that's an awesome gun. I really want to get one of
Oh, the trigger, and yes, this is unloading. But I mean, the trigger on this is insane, but the reset is totally.
See, next time we get together, I guess it'd be the first time we get together. I want to have you shoot this, and then you're gonna go. My CZ is pretty nice. Check this thing out.
But that looks like a professionally made race
This is
gun.
a custom handmade.
Yeah.
Very expensive. But what I wanted to show you was, see the sight tracker? So the sight's actually on the barrel. It's built into the barrel. That's the barrel. So
Well, at first I was going to guess $3,000, but now I'm getting up into the range of $4,000.
Yeah, keep going. But this thing is, the mag alone is $200. But I'm not trying to show off, but what I'm saying is, like, there is guns. So here is the, let me see if I can get closer. All right, so the hammer's cocked.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that move at all?
No, I was looking back too far. Do it again.
All right. All right, here we go. You looking?
Focus.
That was it.
Maybe less than a 1/16 of an inch.
Now watch this. Here's the reset. That was it.
Is that the one you had problems with it jamming up on you at the farm?
Yeah, I made shitty ammo. No, it did. It did have some failures, but it was.
I just had to throw that in. I got a
But it was before I learned what these were.
TR, what are you trying to say? Is that a $6,000 Glock?
This gun is so badass, though.
Oh, I believe it. Now, I've seen, I mean, you've been talking about getting a suppressor. The owner of the gun store where I bought this at, he is an evil, evil man. I was looking at some optics to put on my Blackout, and he went and put it on a Daniel's Defense with a inline suppressor that's built into the barrel. And, oh, that thing was only like $2,680, and I don't know why I didn't buy it. Probably because I'm not that rich. But I mean, those Blackouts, people gripe about, hey, the ammo's so expensive. If you're reloading yourself, I mean, just you can get a hold of the 223 ammo, cut it, and make your own brass, and it's the same bullets you use for a 308.
What round are you talking about?
The 300 Blackout, and you take the 223, cut the brass to make your brass for it.
Yeah.
And
So I'm all about that shit.
Oh, I was using a chainsaw sharpener. I was cutting the brass with that and then trimming it down to size.
This is one sweet gun, though.
What I'm
as
doing.
far as carry gun,
Yeah, it's dirty as shit.
my buddy Ohio Wolverine asked out there, how was my Knick was holding up. My CZ75 clone. This is one of my carry guns. I've been carrying this thing for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Still looks like brand new. They're finished.
You redid, right?
This son of a bitch looks like brand new.
You just redid it, right?
No. That was a CZ. That was an actual CZ75 BD. This is just a CZ75 75B clone. This was actually used at the first Farmageddon ever. Look at it. That motherfucker is like brand new still. That is a really good finish that Knick put on that. Because this thing is like 4 years old. I've carried it. I beat the shit out of it. I've put it under the seat of my truck. And it works. And it's got a good trigger on it. To be just a factory gun, I measured it. It's like 4 something. I don't know.
And you got Ohio Wolverine. He's saying it's all about the person pulling the trigger, and the $6,000 on a gun won't make you a better shooter. No, it won't. If you don't have the basics down, it definitely won't help you. But where the guns come into effect is when you start taking thousands of splits. So say you shoot 100 rounds, right, in a stage, or not even that. 50 rounds in each stage, and there's at least 5 stages. And you take all those thousandths of a split, you actually start getting minutes at some point. And those minutes, or even half minutes, or seconds, I should say, turn into a possible win or a possible. So all those shorter resets, when you're shooting a lot, that actually adds up.
Scotty says, TR, the very first Farmageddon, you have a flint lock. The very first Farmageddon, me and Pop's Quest were the only YouTube guys there. That's how long I've been going to Farmageddon.
And the other guys there didn't want to be recorded.
Yeah, nobody else wanted to be recorded, so that's why there wasn't much footage. There was one other YouTube guy there, but he didn't really make videos. He just kind of had a YouTube video channel, and it wasn't even at Pop's place. It was somebody else's place, and if you go back far enough, you'll find it. And if I think the most footage I have is like us shooting skeet, and it's probably a really shitty video. And it's the first time I shot a 50 cal, 50 BMG. And, but yeah, that was the first time I met Pop's Quest. It was about 4 years ago, I think. But that was the gun I took.
That's pretty cool.
I just hope old Chuck Connors can make it to the next one.
Yeah.
I want to see him, get together with him. But it's like, we're discussing a 300 blackout over here. I mean, I had some guys jump on me about how expensive it is, but that 30 caliber for a gun that's 100 yards and in for a long gun, I mean, that's what it's made for, 100 yards and in, or you can go and suppress it. But the cool thing about the blackout is all I got to do is 2 screws, throw in a 223 barrel, and I don't have to change anything else on that gun. It's now a 223.
2 screws?
2 screws, and I can pull the barrel straight out and pop another barrel right in it. I mean, I don't have to just, push the one button and put a whole nother upper on it. I just 2 screws, take out, boom, slap the other barrel in, and I'm rocking with it.
Nice.
But I'm tailoring my rig around, it's basically a combat rig. I've got my hunting guns and stuff like that, but I'm just trying to get a set of guns together for, if, the balloon goes up, the foil hats come on, and, everything goes nuts.
Yeah.
Now I'm just in my quest for the perfect holsters for them.
Yep, and you need a suppressor for it.
Oh, yeah, but now, that evil guy, I mean, he put that Daniel's Defense 300 blackout that's got the built-in. All you got to do is throw night vision on that thing, and you're rocking.
That stuff's pretty badass. One thing I do want to invest in one day is the thermal. I would love to see all the shit running around my house at night.
I'd be able to take care of a lot of coyotes around here.
Yeah.
And you put this, and you got a suppressor on it. That way you don't bother the neighbors.
I seen them running drones now with thermal, and they're pushing pigs. They're pushing the boars, or the wild hogs, back into the shooter's area. It's pretty cool. I saw some cool video on that.
I mean, you take a blackout with thermal and head down there and go hog hunting at night. You're going to be coming home with a lot of bacon.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like they're doing a really good job of not so much that they're getting rid of them, but they're using all that meat to feed, homeless and anybody who needs it or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a invasive species, and they're going out, and it's not hunting, it's eradication, but they're keeping a good face on it by processing the meat. Because you're always going to have your animal rights group screaming, and where those things are just tearing up everything. I mean, you're talking about multi-million dollars of damage just in one single state alone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to say billions because I would feel safe saying that, but I mean, it is millions upon millions of losses.
Plus, that's just bacon out there waiting to be processed.
Exactly.
Bacon on your cheeseburgers.
Think of the breakfast sausage too.
I mean, I've drank even Bloody Marys with bacon in them. I mean, bacon goes with everything. Bacon is the essential life.
Sorry. Sunflower seeds. Dying. 911.
If they made bacon flavored tea, Rick would drink it.
Oh, hell yeah. America, baby.
America. Where we're at.
America. Breakfast sausages. That's what she said. And we're going downhill. I like it.
Yeah. All right. I know it ain't been quite 2 hours, but we're hitting the 11:30 mark. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We're going down the rabbit hole.
I got a name to keep up.
Yeah. Daniel, would you like to do an outro?
Hey, everybody. It's been a great chat tonight. TR, thanks for having me on. We started all the way from the money to other world powers taking us out with the money to bacon and everything in between. And the side chat, Amanda, hey, you've been great out there. Amanda, just be you, Amanda. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, Amanda, come Sunday night, I'll send you a link. I promise. Rick, would you like to do a outro, man?
Yeah, I would love to. I got two things I want to say. First, I got Scotty and Allen B. Pros. I still haven't mailed them out, but your stickers are right here. I just got to put fucking postage stamps on them and throw them in the mailbox. So I haven't forgot about you. And then the other thing was I did a chat the other day with Bald and Curious where we were reloading shotgun shells. And I think we're going to try to get something like that together, the guys that shoot a little bit of competition and, try to race each other with timers and have fun. But I wanted to see if you guys saw that, if you're interested, if that was something you enjoyed watching. It would definitely help to give us an insight on whether you guys enjoyed it or not. So I don't know if you had a chance to see the video, but it was basically us competing, trying to get better and trying to practice all at the same time, but kind of making it fun where he would try to do it and I would try to do it back and forth. So tell me what you guys think. Definitely your comments and is always fun. So I like to hear what you guys have to say.
Cool. Well, I think we have a really tight group of people. I say tight, but I mean, not tight as in exclusive, but just a really great community here. And I've seen a lot of comments on different videos and stuff with people in this community. And it is a awesome community. I'm honored to be part of it. This is my outro. And thanks, everybody. And we'll see you Sunday night, if not on somebody else's chat. There's a lot of them going on now. And I try to participate in the ones I can. And you're not necessarily on them, just try to give a lot of shit to the ones hosting the chat. So it's a lot. It's a lot of fun being on the other side, giving people hell. Anyway, later YouTube, and we'll see you next Tuesday, if not Sunday night. Bye.
See ya.